Hi everybody, and welcome back to Main Mission Hope, and I'm so glad you're here back today. Whether you're new to Christianity or returning after some time away or just curious about faith, this channel maybe can offer something for you. I humbly offer answers to questions about God, Jesus, the Bible, and what it means to live a Christian life. My hope is that these conversations bring you hope, clarity, and a deeper connection to God's love. Today I'm tackling a question that, I've really wondered about, and that is, does God make mistakes? Does he regret things or change his mind? Because, we see stories in the Bible, like the flood, or the snake in the Garden of Eden, that makes it seem like God is surprised or disappointed by how things have turned out. And as Christians, how do we make sense of this? What does it mean for our understanding of God's will and actions? I mean, this is a really big question, and I don't claim to have all the answers, but I believe that exploring it can together deepen our faith and remind us of God's incredible love for us. So let's dive in. So let's take a look at some examples from the Bible where it seems like God regrets or changes his mind. One of the most well-known is the story of the flood in Genesis 6. After seeing the wickedness of humanity, God says, I regret that I have made them. I mean, that's a pretty heartbreaking moment, isn't it? God, the Creator, feeling sorrow over his creation. Another example is the snake in the Garden of Eden. God places Adam and Eve in paradise, but the serpent's temptation leads to their fall. So did God make a mistake by allowing the snake to be there? And it's a question that's puzzled many. In the New Testament, we see Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane praying, Father, is it possible? Let this cup pass from me. It's a raw human moment where Jesus seems to wrestle with what lies ahead. Does this mean he, and Jesus obviously is God, had second thoughts? Now, these stories can be really confusing because if God is all-knowing and all-powerful, how can he regret or change his mind? Doesn't that imply imperfection? I've wrestled with this myself, but this is the way that I've come to understand it. Well, there's a few ways actually. These stories aren't about God making mistakes. They're about something much deeper. God's relationship with us, and also the idea that the Bible might appear to show God making mistakes or regretting something, but he's not, because we can't understand what his plan is. Okay, so it's kind of those two things together. Because, God, when it comes to his relationship with us, he's not a distant, unfeeling force. He's a loving father who engages with us, even when we make choices that break his heart. When the Bible says God regrets, it's not because he didn't foresee our actions. It's because he feels the weight of our brokenness. It's like a parent who knows their child might make a bad choice, but still feels sorrow when it happens. God's regret shows his deep love and desire for us to choose goodness. In the flood story, God's regret leads to a new beginning. Noah and his family are saved, and God's promises never to flood the earth again. It's a sign of his mercy, not his fallibility. Similarly, the snake in Eden isn't a mistake. It's part of God's bigger plan. By allowing free will, God gives us the ability to choose love and obedience, even if it means we might choose otherwise. The fall sets the stage for redemption through Jesus, showing that God's love can overcome even our worst mistakes. And in Gethsemane, Jesus' prayer isn't about changing God's mind, it's about surrender. He finishes by saying, "Yet not as I will, but as you will." It's a powerful reminder that even in our darkest moments, we can trust God's plan. So what does that mean for us as Christians? Well, first it means that God is not distant or indifferent. He's deeply involved in our lives, feeling our joys and sorrows. When we mess up, he doesn't abandon us. He walks with us, offering grace and a way forward. Second, it reminds us that God's will is not a rigid, unfeeling script. He responds to our choices, guiding us towards his ultimate purpose. I mean, you could kind of think of it like a bit of a GPS system for your car. You know, when we take a wrong turn, God doesn't give up. Your GPS doesn't go, oh, I've had enough, like your missus might. He recalculates the route and leads us back to him. And also, I would also say the fact that although something might appear to be like something in the Bible, as I said, it might appear that God is making a mistake. It might seem like that. It's not. It's just that we can't understand what's happening fully because we don't have the big picture. And also, and I've said this in previous episodes as well, remember the Bible was written by men who were inspired by God, but ultimately men have free will and can make mistakes. So they might not have explained it, as good as they could have, the way that God would have wanted us to describe it, if he wanted us to understand in the first place. So these stories, they teach us about hope. If God can bring redemption from the flood, from Eden, and from the cross, then he can bring hope into our lives, no matter how broken they may seem. As Christians, we're called to trust in that hope and to live in a way that reflects God's love to others. Now, I know this is a lot to take in, and it's okay if you still have questions. I know I have. Often I do these episodes about a subject and I think, yeah, right, cool, I kind of understand that now. I've wrapped my head around it, and then I record it, and then a day later or a week later I think, wait a minute, was I right about that? Or I might even, I'll see another source and do some more research and go, actually, maybe I need to come back to it from a different point of view. And that's why I think going forward with the channel as well, you'll see me revisiting a lot of these ideas as my ideas develop and change, of course. Because faith is a journey and we're all learning together. But here's what I want you to remember. God's love for you is unchanging. Even when life feels uncertain, he doesn't make mistakes. He makes a way for us to grow, to learn, and to find hope. If this video has helped you, I humbly ask that you like, subscribe and share it with someone who might need to hear this message. And if you have questions or topics you'd like me to explore, please leave them in the comments section below, because I'm here to walk this journey with you. Until next time, may you find hope in God's love and grace.